For some people, when they come here, they maybe are fluent in English already, and so it's relatively easy for them to find their way around and to communicate with people and find out the information they need to have in order to thrive here and be happy. For someone who comes who doesn't speak any English, it's another story entirely. You have to learn a whole new language. You feel like a child when you're trying to communicate, if you're searching for the right words. Some people who have been working before they've come here have been very involved in their careers, and their life was very full and very busy. And all of a sudden they come here and there may be a huge vacuum in their lives because they have to start all over again and reinvent themselves and figure out what they can do and be in this new place. So there's a huge transition that they have to make between being competent and in charge and at the top of their career there, and then starting all over and trying to find connections and trying to find a good place for them where they can make their contributions when they're here.
I think coming to California, apart from the excitement, you're really excited, but I think my excitement also became despair. You leave your family behind, you leave your friends behind, and you don't realize that you're actually suffering a loss. And so what happens is you miss the unconditional love from your family and friends, you miss their support. And for me, the first month was really traumatic in that I felt I wanted to fit into the new culture and new community. And you can't do that in a month, we all know that. And I also felt that I needed to come to terms with my loss. I needed to come to terms with the fact that I'd left my family behind and my friends behind. I found a book called The Art of Crossing Culture, and that book opened up my eyes to certain things where, you know, as foreigners we come here and we tend to think that things are not the same and we want to make it all comfortable for ourselves. And perhaps we even judge the local people. But the book opened up my eyes to the fact that we should try not to seek out the comfortable and familiar things, and that we should spend some time doing a course explaining the local culture, and spend some time trying to find out what's new and interesting in your environment. So those were the things that helped me adjust. And even now today, after being here for nearly 3 years, I still feel that there's still lots of acclimatizing and lots of adapting and adjusting to do.
I mean, imagine when people arrive here, they don't have a work, especially spouses, they don't have a work permit. They don't have an environment that really support them and say, you know, this is your day. They need to put together a routine. They need to find a way to survive and to feel happy to be here. So the loss is an important stage because you realize that you don't have anymore the security of your country, the support system. A lot of spouses left their career, so, and here it's very hard to build a new career or to start the career at the same place you finish in your country. You may need to start the same career but in a different place, usually lower. So, you know, spouses experience a lot of challenges. And remember, in the United States, you don't have problems, you have challenges. It's a very optimistic society. So that's the reason why I spoke about the loss. But then I also speak about reevaluating the decision, because after you go down, you go again up, and you are stronger, because you have been actually elaborate all this material, and when you go back to your decision and say, you know, I really want to be here, that's the moment in which especially spouses are ready for it, and they start the new chapter of their life, and they look for a job, and they start a family, they decide to move back, to go forward, to change country. I've seen a lot of things happening. So take a moment and draw a bridge. With the bridge exercise, I'm asking them to stop to think in a logical way. And I'm asking them to use their own creativity to basically have an object on a piece of paper that is a symbol of their own transition. So So a bridge is actually a symbol of going from place A to place B. And then I ask, put yourself on the bridge. And it's amazing that people can choose to put themselves at the beginning, at the end, or in the middle. We can make some, assumption. We can say, well, somebody that is at the very beginning of the bridge may perceive the future as, a long way. Somebody that is at the end of the bridge may perceive that is at the end of a transition. Somebody in the middle, just in the middle, may perceive himself or herself like in a situation in which he needs to make some decision, even if go forward or go back. Who you are is also defined by what you do, by the people around you, and by your level of comfort and familiarity. So when you decide to do such a drastic change, well, who are you? I mean, I give you this example. I remember when I arrived here in the United States and my husband was a PhD student, I was not anymore Anna, I was the spouse, because that was the only identity that I can wear in order to explain myself why I was in the United States. So in this sense, I know that I had my old identity was basically gone. I was not a professional anymore. I didn't have friends that know my story. Everything was new, and I was only the spouse. So it took some time to rebuild a new identity.
Initially, when I was looking for new things to do, being on an H4 spousal visa, I couldn't work. So I decided that I wanted to fill my time with volunteering positions. So I decided that I was going to volunteer at an art center. And since I started at that art center, I've actually come to realize that, you know what, art is actually my passion and not accounting. There was that feeling of being happy. There was this feeling of, this is something I can do confidently. When I attended the class, the teacher, he actually had this very interesting approach to the art. And he speaks about feeling or drawing what you feel. And that's a very different approach to what I've ever experienced before. And it has actually helped tremendously because many times everything is intellectualized. We are at Stanford. Everything is about, PhDs and masters and facts and figures. And I think we tend to forget about tapping our feelings and trying to understand why it is we feel the way we do, or just the fact that we are feeling. During the week when I didn't have the drawing class, and I would come home and think, oh gosh, what do I do today? All I did was take out a page, take out some pastels, and just draw the way I felt. So I wasn't drawing an image, I was just drawing little squiggles, solid lines. If I felt like I wanted to color in the entire page, I would do that. But the idea was just to get in touch with that feeling and then just draw it. And I thought it was such a valuable lesson.
I am an orthopedic surgeon in Japan, but here I don't have any license to work as a doctor, so I can't work as a doctor here. First year I did nothing about my specialty, medicine. So this year I organized a Japanese group, which consisting of Japanese women doctors. And we met twice so far. And last time we talked about infertilization and surrogate birth. So when we meet together, we can talk about our field. And I don't know how the group will work in the future, but Yeah, I think it's also good to have the friends in the same field.
I'm working now, so it means that at some point I was allowed to work. Actually, very early on, as soon as we came here, we learned that our friends had different visas than we did. So after a few months, we went back to France, got the appropriate visas, the J1 and J2 visas that would allow me to ask for an employment authorization. So that's what we did, and as soon as I had the employment authorization signed, I looked for a job. After a few months, I think I gained self-confidence, and I was speaking the language a little better too, because it's important to practice in the professional environment. And I heard about this job in the division of child psychiatry at Stanford, and I applied. They liked me, I liked them, and so I got this position as the training coordinator for the child psychiatry training program. And I held that job for 6 years. I just changed to another position. I was promoted to the faculty affairs here for the Department of Psychiatry.
What very nice for me, I can work every day, yeah, and this doesn't matter I have job now or not. I can play cello. This work for myself. And I am so busy. I can have student. I like very much to teach. I taught before in Berlin too. It's nice if I can play more. Yeah, it's nice, but my baby is very small, and if she can grow up, I can work more, and this is very important for me, of course.